Most of the media, even the most alarmist elements, have now started to recognise that Australia is flattening the curve, that as a country we're doing well in battling the coronavirus pandemic. I first tentatively noted the trend last Friday week, and where we can see now that it's very clear. The bar graph says it all, actually. We're seeing fewer and fewer new infections each day.
We're doing more than flattening the curve. The epidemic curve is actually falling. We're getting lower and lower numbers.
Look, it's hardly surprising. We stopped most international arrivals just over a fortnight ago, and then days later shut down bars and restaurants. Now all people returning from overseas are going into compulsory isolation, and onerous social distancing rules are in place. We've had 41 deaths now and more than 5,600 cases in Australia, but more than a third of them have already recovered. Not long ago, many in the media were saying this might get a lot worse than this, and quickly. In early March, the Financial Review cited modelling by ANU economist and Professor Warwick McKibbin and ran with the headline, "Virus could kill up to 100,000 Australians." John Keogh wrote that McKibbin's modelling suggested between 21,000 and 96,000 Australian deaths. On Seven, they got a medical perspective on those same claims.
Are you worried about those figures, or is that scaremongering?
Look, I think what they've done is just economic modelling, and so they've got a range of numbers. So 21,000 to 96,000, you might think is quite a big, broad range. Look, if 96,000 people got sick, yeah, we would be concerned about it in the sense that that would really put a lot of strain on the healthcare system. 21,000, probably not such a huge issue.
But days later, Seven News featured an expert with even more alarming estimates.
If we do see an outbreak here, how many Australians could be infected?
It could be anywhere from 25% to 70%. That's what the estimates are.
And how many would we lose?
It could be hundreds of thousands of people.
We've seen many other alarmist headlines too. The Daily Mail claimed on March 12th that nearly 60,000 people in New South Wales alone would die. And less than a week later, the Sydney Morning Herald used comments from Deputy Chief Medical Officer to come up with a headline number of 50,000 to 150,000 deaths. And apart from running sensationalist stories, of course, many in the media fuelled public panic with their own twists on the facts. Channel 9 lifestyle presenter Lisa Fernandez responded to the Herald story by retweeting it and saying the government should have taken the advice of real experts and shut Australia down last week. "I cannot believe more people aren't furious about these statistics. One dead is too many. We must be shut down for 2 weeks and Australia will get ahead of COVID-19. And ABC 730's Jason Om tweeted, "These projections on potential coronavirus deaths in Australia is just nuts. We should be worried if no action is taken. Australia prepares for 50,000 to 150,000 coronavirus deaths." By this time, travel bans were in place from many countries. Self-isolation was in place for others. A pandemic had been declared here way ahead of the World Health Organisation. A national cabinet had been formed and large public gatherings were banned. But journalists called this no action. In the Weekend Australian, Channel 10's Peter Van Onselen wrote under the heading, "Even optimists can do the maths," as he shared some very alarming maths showing more than 100,000 Australians could die, perhaps many times that amount. The odds are most of us may know someone who dies from it, perhaps someone's close, perhaps ourselves. It's no wonder people are panicking. No wonder indeed. Do the maths, said Van Onselen. Well, the maths right now show the number of deaths is 99,959 below the 100,000 figure. Of course it's going to go higher, but that's some gap, and new infections are now falling. It could get worse. We're heading into winter. But the message to the public, surely, the factual message, should be one of reassurance, of action. Yes, government and community action, but explaining how it's actually working to slow the spread of the virus. This reality is not only defying sensationalist predictions from journalists, but from some of the experts too. ABC favourite and former Hawke government advisor Bill Bowtell tweeted 3 weeks ago, "I wish I could predict the future. I can't. All I can say is that tonight we're well along the trajectory of case growth that looks like the Italian trajectory about 4 weeks ago. We have to flatten the curve. Yet a fortnight later, he didn't even sound encouraged by how our progress was outperforming his dire forecast.
The growth rate in Australia does appear to be slowing. That's the news of the last couple of days. Is it too soon, do you think, to predict a flattening of the curve?
Fran, I think people have got to wake up to this. This is not an election campaign. Those daily figures are not overnight news poll tracking figures, and there's no election day at the end of this.
Baltel might be confused. Opinion poll numbers are nebulous, artificial attempts to measure what might be reality. Death tolls and case numbers are the facts. They are reality, the cold, hard facts. The ABC's Dr Norman Swan predicted last month that coronavirus caseloads would reach 7,000 to 8,000 by last weekend, the weekend before last actually, and we're still yet to hit 6,000. I also mentioned the other week that he's being tested for COVID-19, and thankfully his case did not add to those numbers.
So Norman, you kept us on the edge of our seats. You told us yesterday that you had been tested for COVID-19. The results are back. What happened?
Well, the GP phoned me up and I was positive for another cold virus, but not the coronavirus. So I'm
what a relief.
COVID negative.
COVID negative. That's good news for Swan, not so good for his case number projections. But he did get some support over the weekend from someone who knows what it's like to boldly make bold predictions and get them boldly wrong. Sydney Morning Herald columnist Peter Fitzsimons said Swan has been the subject of nasty criticism on social media and by various pundits. Why? Because his predictions of just how bad it was going to get if we didn't take action have not been borne out. Seriously. Apparently, Fitzy doesn't like journalists, experts and pundits being held to account over that crazy little thing called accuracy. Timely warnings are necessary, for sure. We all understand that. But at a time of genuine crisis, I might have thought that sober analysis and sensible predictions might be more the order of the day.